Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. It's Monday morning, and we're reacting to another buzzer beater win for the Raptors in preseason, this time against the Wizards. I know it doesn't sound impressive, but it was kind of impressive, honestly. A 1 point win right at the buzzer for the Raptors. This is 2 games in a row that this has happened. And I want to point out that both of these game winning buzzer beaters were inbounded by Jared Rhoden. That's right. Jared Rhoden made the pass to Jonathan Mobo on Friday night against the Celtics. And he also made the pass yesterday, throwing the ball perfectly to Olivier Sarr to make the basket to win yesterday. Now, a lot of y'all in the chat and Discord after the game were saying something I agree with. Sergeant Wayne Strainer saying that, this is a win for Darko. And that's what I want Raptors fans to understand right now. We had the bottom of our roster for training camp in the game for like the pretty much most of the last quarter. And they were horrible. I'm not gonna lie. We were winning and really controlling the game against the Wizards most of the game. And then, that lineup is just not a winning lineup. It's got problems. I have my theories about some of the issues we're having in preseason with scoring at certain times. Obviously, if Brandon's available, we got somebody who's going to score for us when there's droughts. But I have some theories about all this. But that's the thing. Even with the end of the bench, the guys who are trying to make the team, they're probably not going to make the team because honestly, they shouldn't be on the team. Darko could draw up a play and win the game with 0.8 seconds to go. Now, I want everybody to understand that this win yesterday is a huge Darko win because that's a coach's play drawn up. The other guy on the other side, BK Keith, he's a coach, but he's not on the level of Rojakovic. And in some ways, Raptors fans need to respect that and understand that as we start to win more this year, that part of the reason why we're going to win more is because our coach is a tactician who knows what the fuck he's doing. And he basically, I would say, honestly, we could give the star of the game to Darko for what happened yesterday. I mean, Jared Rhoden, all credit to making the pass right. Sarr, great job making the basket. But that play was drawn up by Darko, and it was exactly the right play, and it was executed with a team that is not the best for the Raptors. Let's just put it that way. In fact, I was like, man, they came in at like 8 minutes to go, and I'm like, all right, you gonna run the bottom of the roster the whole end of the game? Because honestly, you may need to sub some of these guys out to get breath before the end of the game, but he didn't really. He played them all the way to the end of the game. I was like, man, you could put Jacoby and Jamal back in real quick, and that would really make me feel better, Darko. No, he wants to let it ride. And Canadian Will Riley almost hit 2 big free throws. He did hit the big free throws to take the lead, and he thought he was going to be a hero. But no, Coach Rajakovic had other plans, and he set up a masterful play with 0.8 seconds. Now, it was important that Ray Acosta, Dedrick Taylor, and Matt Myers came and gave them the extra time on the clock because that was necessary. That was necessary. If you have 0.1 on the clock, you don't have time to make the shot. So putting the extra 0.7 seconds on the clock was absolutely essential for this to happen. Now, you remember last year, there was a game we played against the Wizards, and Jamal Shed hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer, and they didn't count it. That was some bullshit. And, well, they tried to do that again yesterday, but it was undeniable. The play was executed perfectly. The shot clock had not expired before the ball left the hand of Olivier Sarr, and he got the basket. The sad thing is, cheap-ass Ed Rogers didn't send our broadcast crew to Washington yesterday. And all of a sudden, we had to listen to Drew Gooden call the game with some jabroni for the whole thing. That was a bad look, man. You would never do that with the Leafs. Would you do that with the Blue Jays? Is what I'm asking MLSC right now. This is a bad sign. The fact that they cheaped out on sending Matt Devlin to Washington, D.C. yesterday, it's kind of a bad sign for things to come as far as what Rodgers could do to try and cost cut. It's bullshit, honestly. Are we going to have an announced crew in Boston on Wednesday? Rogers or TSN, whoever, y'all going to send our people out there? Because in some ways, a young man named Olivier Sarr missed out on an interview after the game, getting to have his moment. And that may be his only great moment around the NBA in certain ways. You know, beat his brother, the number one pick, one of the top picks in the draft, and he doesn't get to celebrate that. He doesn't get an interview with Danielle Michaud, and what the fuck? And then we don't get any post-game interviews either afterwards because no media was sent with the team to Washington, D.C. yesterday. I bet everybody was shocked when they turned on their sports net and they heard some jabronis calling the game, glazing the Wizards the whole game. Just glazing them the whole game, glaze the Wizards. Don't even talk the game. The guy didn't do play-by-play. He did glaze the Wizards for the whole game. It's like you could call the game, bro. You could actually say dribbles up the court, takes a shot, say that kind of shit, guy who does the Wizards games. But no, you guys are doing little jokes. You guys were really bad. You were like, I want to make a point about something. And then Drew Gooden would drive the car into another subject. And you're leaving all of us hanging on like, what's your point, bro? You didn't even come back and say it. He said, I have some theories about something, and I want to say something about this. And then Drew Gooden just didn't listen to him and didn't respond to him. He just went off on his own. And then the guy just didn't even come back to that. And for some people that like loose ends tied up, they get pissed off when announcers do shit like that. Let's just put it that way. Very unprofessional by the Wizards broadcast crew, saying unprofessional things, making unprofessional jokes, unprofessional jokes. And then also just unprofessional for Rogers to skimp out and not send our own media there. Wait, what the fuck was that? Seriously, two-finger salute, Ed Rogers III. Two-finger salute. I'm watching y'all and keeping track. Is Boston important enough that you'll send some broadcast crew to Boston, or is this going to be a whole road trip out for preseason? Oh, it's preseason, Lex. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Dan for sure could never do this with a regular season game. If you did this with a regular season game, I'd be like, what the fuck? If there's like a game against the Wizards near the end of the season in Washington and y'all don't send an announce crew down there for that game, I'm be like, what the fuck is going on with the Raptors and MLSE and our broadcasting partners? Because I'm sure most people were like waiting, we're expecting Matt Devlin yesterday. Most people were probably like, Matt Devlin, what the fuck is this shit? Who is this? What is this jabroni shit? Drew Gooden? What the fuck? Seriously? Yeah, that was probably pretty common in Canadian televisions yesterday, watching the Raptors game. It was like, what is this? Yeah, it was messed up. We'll do the stars of the game. We got the straight goods on Canadian goods. We got the Instagram stories. We got the Reddit reactions. Everything we do on the Raptor stream. And also, the phone lines are open. If you have the phone number to call, you can call in and talk about this game today. If you want to, give me your 2 cents on what you saw and how you felt about Matt Devlin not calling our game yesterday. Yeah, that was messed up, man. That wasn't right. If that's any kind of trend coming, don't do this shit, MLSE. Seriously, don't do this shit. Seriously. All right, we pay a lot of money for tickets and all kinds of stuff for the Raptors, and y'all going to short us out on our own announcers. Yeah, that's messed up, man. Don't do stuff like that. Seriously, Keith Belly. All right. Trevor J is here. Good to see the Commissioner of Fun, Trevor J. He's going to say our words of wisdom today. Mental strength, coaching, and discipline. Some days just to be grateful and do not give up, not on the goal, but on the days you wanted to hide, shut down and said, forget it, but you didn't. You showed up and you did not always have to be perfect. Just do not give up on you. I mean, I get this. You say get up and get and show up. Well, I get that. 9:30 every morning. I get that. And some days I don't necessarily want to do the stream because it could be the Raptors had a really bad game. It could be that I have a lot going on in my personal life and people don't know it in the scenes. And I'm like, man, but Lex gets up and does the 9:30 stream every day for 4 years now. Yeah, I know about this, Trevor. Yeah, it's true. They do say something about if you show up, that's half of just doing what you need to do. It's just showing up and being there. That's enough in some ways. If some days you're not doing exactly that well and you still show up and do it, man, that's applaud for you. But also know your limits. And if you do need to have some time to rest, there is no shame in not showing up because you need time for yourself. So let's put it on both sides. But I like the sentiment that you're saying, don't give up on yourself. Thank you, Trevor J, for your words of wisdom. Blessing to the Jones family and all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. That's right. Trevor's also saying the Raptors have 2 buzzer beaters from wins from Mobo and Sar. That's crazy. Stealing the wins at the end. Yeah, once again, we get the lesson. Don't ever count out the Raptors, man. Whether they're down 27 to the Celtics on Friday night, whether they're down right with less than a second to go in the game, like yesterday. Don't ever count them out. If you're a real Raptors fan, you watch the game until the final buzzer because you get all the joy when we do something like yesterday and Friday. Because there's a lot of fans, like I said, they give up on the games because they don't like losing. They don't like feeling the losing. They see a 27-point lead for the Celtics in the middle of the game the other day, and they're like, man, I don't want to watch this. It's preseason anyway. I don't want to watch it. The people that hang with them, the people that go through the thick and the thin, ride or dies, enjoy the spoils. And that's just always been the truth. I've known so many times in the Raptors history where fans or Raptors Nation have just turned the TV off and they're just like, yeah, I don't want to fucking watch this. And then the Raptors come back and give us a gift and kick some ass and win the game in the end anyway. And they come back and they see it later and they're like, oh my gosh, why did I stop watching? Holy crap, this is amazing. I can't believe I didn't see this. This happens all the time. And that's why I say never turn it off. Even when you thought Will Riley had tied up the game in a little bow at the end of the game yesterday. Nah. Don't ever do that. Seriously. And even when they lose all the way to the bitter end, that's fine. Because there's going to be times like the last 2 games where they turn it around and they do steal that victory right at the end. So don't give up on your Raptors. Don't give up on them. That's what I say. That's the important thing here. That's the important message here. Trevor J saying that the Blue Jays lost their first game of the ALCS to the Seattle Mariners last night, 3-1. And yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's the first game of a series. I don't know how it went down. I didn't watch it. I don't know exactly why they lost or anything like that. You guys could probably spell it and give me a report and say, yeah, Smooth's here. He can tell me exactly what happened with the Jays and why they didn't beat the Mariners last night. But once again, I'll remind the Blue Jays, the Mariners have beat you in postseason in a few years in the last 10 years. And y'all have receipts for them. Do they have our number? Is Seattle just a team that's going to beat Toronto when the matchup is there in the postseason in Major League Baseball? Or can y'all break that trend, Vladdy? Can y'all go and do this? Because you're already down 1. And, man, you can't be messing around with this. This is the playoffs, and every game matters. You need to get going. And, well, Seattle, you don't want Seattle to have our number, do you? So you guys got to give the receipt back and figure it out somehow, some way. I don't know enough about the Jays this year or the baseball right now to be able to opine on this in any kind of expert way like I do with the Raptors. So I would just say good luck, Blue Jays. Get the next one, all right? You can't mess around. You can't lose 2 in a row on your home field. That's not going to work for this. James is here. Good to see Raptor Freak James. He's been an all-star this year with his questions and just his participation on the channel has been amazing this year. Scotty needs focus on his strengths. He has trouble breaking down his defender from the 3-point line. Lex, why do you think he's moving away from what he's good at? Well, I would say this. You guys, once again, the problem here is too many people think they know what Scott should be doing. Too many people, including you, James, including Kareem yesterday on the Discord chat, telling me Scotty needs to go in the post. Scotty needs to go in the post. I know I've said that in the past, and I agree with you guys. That's where his best strength is, but that's not what the assignment is right now. We have to understand the everything that we think Scotty should be doing doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like you think that he's moving away from what he's good at. I don't think he is. He's discovering more of what he could be good at. That's what the preseason is. The preseason is to figure out who's going to be on your team, who needs to be where in the rotation. And well, with players like Scott, who are coming into a season, and this is a game that doesn't count, you can be a little experimental. You can be a little bit like, you know what, let's try you in a different kind of look, in a different kind of role. And maybe some people look at it and say he's failing right now. But I will tell you, Scotty is one of my 5 stars of the game for today. Yeah, he is. And I think that he had a great game yesterday. Some people will say, well, Scotty didn't shoot well. He didn't. And he hasn't shot well in preseason. But he did other things amazingly good yesterday. And those are the things that people aren't going to pay attention to or understand. I'll agree with you guys that he's not playing to his strengths right now, but that's not the assignment right now. The assignment is to discover more and different kinds of roles on the team right now. And to some fans, it's going to look like it's not a downgrade or it's not good enough or it's not this. To people who have watched a long, long time, they can see the journey is a metamorphosis. And you don't see everything that goes on with the butterfly and the chrysalis while they're transforming in there. And that's part of what's going on right now is Scott is pupating. He's a larvae. He's in that cocoon changing from one thing to another. And in some ways, it's going to be awkward. Some ways, it's not going to be totally smooth. In some ways, it's not going to look exactly like he's going progressively somewhere. But then all of a sudden, he emerges and spreads his wings and flies as a new version of Scotty Barnes. And when that comes, y'all will see it. And you'll understand that all of this work and all of these different things that they've been doing has been part of that process. So once again, this is preseason. None of this shit matters. If they really wanted Scott to go get 30, he could go get 30. That's not the assignments that Darko's giving him right now. We have a scorer in Brandon Ingram. We have a scorer in RJ. We have an amazing point guard in Emmanuel Quickley. And in some ways, Scotty is not the best shooter out of these guys. We know this. In fact, his shooting has been bad in the preseason. It's been bad. But we did see signs of it waking up yesterday in the mid-range. We did see him doing a little bit of post yesterday. So it's not like he's lost it. It's not like he doesn't have some of the stuff that he proved last year. It's just that this is preseason. This is the Wizards. This is an afternoon game. As Doug Smith said, the game was so ugly yesterday because it had like a triple whammy of crazy shit. First of all, it's a preseason game. Preseason games are normally ugly and not smooth and bad shots, bad everything. Second of all, it's an afternoon game, which is at 3:00. And normally those games are sloppy too. Doug Smith pointed this all out on Blue Skies yesterday. This is part of the reason why this game looks like this. And thirdly, this is the Wizards, one of the worst teams in the league. And the Raptors have a core that's playing for them in preseason for the most part of the game that's very young. And they could very much rub off on us, the Wizards, and their young, inexperienced, goofy, turnover-laden, miss a lot of shots, crazy-ass kind of energy. Well, it can be transmitted to us, and we can play just as goofy and bad and shoot just as bad as them. So this is a real triple whammy of not unprofessional, but just lackadaisical, weird-ass shit. Preseason, afternoon, and it's the Wizards, guys. That's how a game looks so fucking ugly like it did yesterday. So ugly, man. I'm just saying. Now, James, I want you to do this. This is very Buddhist, and this is very New Age philosophy. You may see an apple sitting on a counter, and you can look at that apple, and you say, that's an apple. But we just named the apple an apple. That's just an English word that we made up. An apple is just something that grew on a tree. And in some ways, the word apple don't mean jack shit in a real sense, because the apple is just an apple. It's not an apple. It's just an object. It's just a fruit. It could be these are all conditions you're putting on that apple. You're naming it the apple. You're perceiving it and trying to label it. This is what I want you to do. That is just something on the counter. It's like, don't even label it. Don't even name it. And that's how you should treat Scott. It's like we can't have any preconceived notions of judging or labeling or saying this is what this is. This is what he is. This is what he does. This is who he should be. None of this shit is real. That's just our own perceptions, our own ideas in our head projecting onto him. Does that make sense? And ultimately, the reality of Scotty is on the court. And the crazy thing is, Scotty doesn't even know where he's going because he doesn't totally understand the best player he's going to be, that Darko's helping him to become, because he had ideas being a different player when he came in the league. He's shocked at the player he's changing into. It's a way better player than he thought he would be. It's in some ways, it's a totally different route and a totally different role than he thought he would be. I think he really seriously thought he was going to be a 6'9" Magic Johnson point guard in this league. And now it's morphing. In some ways, he can see the promise of the low post game for himself. He can see the promise of some of the new things that he's doing right now on defense and how it will add up to winning. And that's what he cares about. His ego has never been about, I want to be the leading scorer in the league. His ego has never been, I need to get a triple-double every night. No, his ego has always been, my team needs to win. And that's the only thing he cares about. And in some ways, I think people are starting to just really not understand him for that. They really think, oh, everybody in this world is selfish. Everybody's just out there to get theirs. Scotty is not that. That's the crazy thing. He's an anomaly. And we need to allow Scott to be who he's going to be and stop perceiving him from our own minds. Seriously. In some ways, I'm going to say, Scotty, you just do what you do, bro. And if you have a winning team, if your team wins and you added to that winning, well, I'm fine with you. I don't give a shit you scored 10 points. I do not give a shit that you scored 10 points because honestly, your team won and you were a plus 22 on the plus minus. So he obviously added to winning, even if he wasn't shooting well, even if he didn't take over the game as the leading scorer. He obviously added to winning. He got a double-double. And, you know, this is what people need to understand. What you think is success in the NBA is not necessarily success. It's the only success in the NBA is the win for the team. And everybody going on about individual stats for any of the Raptors this year, it's stupid. I've been saying this for a few years. The basketball is a team sport, and it's never, ever been about individual stats. It's just that NBA culture and fans put an overimportance on individual stats. The only stat that's only mattered to me this whole time with the Raptors is team wins. That's the only stat in this world that should matter to basketball fans is how many wins in the win column do the Raptors have as a team. Not how many points Brandon's getting, not how many assists IQ is getting, not how many points that Scotty gets. So I got to tell you guys, got to decondition your brains from perceiving and judging and just say, Scott is amazing. Just let him do what he does. Because every single night, he's going to do something different to help us win. And it's not going to be exactly the same looking every night. And the other thing I would say to this is he's not going away from his best stuff. Maybe he's saving it for the season. You know, he don't need to go out there and show all of his best new moves he learned from the season. He did show one move yesterday. He did show a new move yesterday. He did a little scoop in, up and under to get to the basket and get a post basket. Yeah, he did a little new move where he was very aggressive. He brought the ball around and swung it up into the defender and made room that way and went past him that way. That was a new move. He's never done that one. Exactly. So, you know, he's got stuff he's worked on. He's got stuff he's going to debut. But why the fuck would he debut it in the preseason and give them a scout? You know? In some ways, this is preseason. It's not about Scotty getting 30. It's about the team getting figured out. And, you know, the past 4 games of the preseason, we played like 20 guys every game, right? So nobody's going to get 20 points, hardly at all, because there's so many people playing and they're not all playing that long and they're all getting like 8 points, 7 points, 9 points. But there's 20 of them and it all adds up to our score. So everything in the preseason, you can't judge stat-wise because minutes aren't the right amount of minutes for the starters. And you've got like 20 guys playing. And, you know, if all these guys score a basket, you've got 6 here, you got 7 here, you got 8 here. You know, that's part of it when you play so many people in one game. You know, there's a lot to it, James. But I will ask you once again, and all Raptors fans out there, stop perceiving Scott for what you think he should be. And understand there is a plan. It's very organized. It's very much a real plan. Y'all think that he's just wasting his time and he ain't fucking doing anything out there. No, Darko has a real goal and real plans for him. He wants him to be more like Antetokounmpo as time goes on in some ways. And we just got to let them do the things that they're doing to get him there. In some ways, it may not look like progress, but it is, trust me, it is. Some of this work is stuff you can't really perceive unless you're really, really a learned basketball person that's absolutely paying very close attention. If you're only a stat hound and you're only caring about what the stat line looks like at the end of the night, you may not see all the intangibles that they're installing with Scotty Wayne Barnes right now. And that's the thing. His defense has been exemplary, especially yesterday. He had very good defense yesterday. Very, very good defense. Trevor J saying Scotty had 10 points, 4 assists, and 12 rebounds. Yeah, let's do the stars of the game. In some ways, I want to say honorarily, star of the game, Darko Rajakovic, #1 star. But I don't give stars to coach. But in some ways, I feel like I should give Darko very much major respect because this win is on him. As much as I said the last win was on Jared Rhoden, this one is on Darko, guys. Now, it was hard to figure out who is the #1 player because, like I said, so many players contributed to the game last night and winning. Is it Olivier Sarr for hitting the shot? Is it, Scotty for this? Is it this person for this? I decided to go with somebody who carried in the middle of the game and somebody that the Washington Wizards were making bad jokes about, but also showing a lot of respect towards. And that was Jamison Battle. I feel like Jamison Battle was my #1 star yesterday because in a lot of ways, the Raptors overall shot horrible yesterday. Absolutely horrible. I mean, we shot a third of our shots went in. We were 33% from the field. And the Wizards shot better than us. And we still won. And but one of the guys who was consistent and did shoot well amidst everything, and he has not shot that well this preseason overall, Jamison Battle. 3 for 5 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. He got 3 rebounds, and he was a plus 15 with 7 points in 15 minutes. You say, Lex, you just gave the star of the game to a guy who scored 7 points? Yeah, because if you look at the box score, a lot of the guys who scored a lot of the points did not shoot well, and they were not effective in some ways. They were kind of, they were really rough to see the way they were missing and stuff like that. So I gave Battle a nod for this. My second star of the game is Chucky. Chucky came in as a backup point guard, and he did not play a huge chunk of the game. He could have played a lot, but he only played 11 minutes, guys. Doesn't it seem like Chucky played more than that in the game last night? He only played 11 minutes, a fourth of the game, but he got 12 points. So that's a fantastic points per minute ratio, especially since we were having stagnant parts of the game where we couldn't score all of a sudden against the Wizards, which is unacceptable, honestly. Against a team like the Wizards, there should never be 4 minutes where the Raptors cannot get a field goal. That's a problem. But Chucky was 4 for 6 from the field. He was 3 of 4 from 3. Those threes were very confident. And in some ways, man, if he can shoot those threes like that, he is definitely a rotation player for the Raptors this year. Seriously, he made his only free throw. He had 1 steal and 2 turnovers. He was a -1. But the points per minute were what impressed me. The aptitude, the solid confidence. And yeah, the making those threes, like the way he shot threes in the game yesterday was like, man, Chucky's dialed in. And if his feet are set, he'll make it. That's the thing I realized last night. Like he took the time on one of them to really get his feet right before he shot it. And that's when he's money, is when Chucky has his feet set, he's going to make that three. He's going to make that three. My third star of the game is Emmanuel Quickley. Emmanuel Quickley and Jacoby Walter and Scotty Barnes all had a very similar story last night. All 3 of them have been disappointing in preseason so far. People have been talking trash about Barnes and Quickley and saying a lot of stuff that's just not fair in some ways. Well, I was really proud of all 3 of those players, and they are the rest of my stars, for getting out of the mud. And they did it in this game. And it's crazy because they kind of all did it in a different way. Emmanuel kind of just forced his way into shooting better, and he did. He finally started shooting better. 6 of 16 from the field, 5 of 10 from 3. He got his 10 3-point attempts, which was talked about. He got 10 3-point attempts. It's fantastic. He made half of them. So, this is why we want Emmanuel to shoot like crazy, because when he's hitting these shots, he's a huge boost to our scoring, and you could see that in the middle of the game. Now, if he had shot overall better, 6 of 16, I would have maybe made him the star of the game. But he was 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 18 points for Emmanuel, our leading scorer yesterday. So you see, when Emmanuel gets hot and he gets going, he's a huge weapon for us. So you got to understand that's why Darko wants him to have the green light and shoot as much as possible. Now, if there's nights where he is not on and he's missing, you won't see him as much in the second half. But if he's on and he's going, we need to ride him on the hot hand and let him do what he does because he's an amazing offensive player when he's feeling it and his shot is dialed in. He's a very confident three-point shooter, and he's a very good one. So don't be mad that he shot 5 of 10 from three. I wouldn't be. Don't be mad about that. So, yeah, I like how Manuel got going. And, well, in some ways, he needs to shut people up about what he can do for us and show them a little taste of it. And I appreciate that. I appreciate Emmanuel doing that, getting it out of the mud. My fourth star is Scotty Barnes with a double-double. Scotty was 21 minutes of play. We got to remember this. He's not playing his full minutes either. He's going to get at least another 10 minutes of play in the regular season when it's regular games. And these guys are playing short stints, and their stat lines may not be fully formed because of that. Let's just put it that way. 3 of 11, still not shooting well. In fact, he came out and bombed 3 threes right off the bat, and he missed them. And he didn't take another one after that. And in some ways, Kareem is right in the Discord yesterday. He's saying, why is Scotty shooting threes to start? I totally agree with that. I think that he should go low first and establish his scoring down there and work his way out. But for some reason, he likes to start from the outside and work his way to the basket. Take the threes first, then take the mid-range, then go inside? No, go the other way, Scott. And I know you guys know this on the down low. Maybe in some ways it's like, look, when Raptors take threes, whether it's Colin Murray Boyles, whether it's Grady Dick, whether it's Ochai Agbaji, whether it's Scotty Barnes, it's because the other team has left them open. That's the only reason why. You guys can get mad at Scott for taking threes at the beginning of the game, but they were daring him because they don't respect him at three right now. And that's obvious because he's not shooting well at three pretty much the whole last year. Part of it was his pinky and his hand was not right. And so far, he hasn't found his rhythm in preseason since right now. And he's going to find it. He's going to start hitting these threes. It's just that, like in anything in basketball, you have your on and off times, right? So Sky's going to find his rhythm, and his three's going to be all right. It's just that, I mean, I get the criticisms and stuff. Why can't he go and do what he's good at? James is saying this. Why can't he just go into the post and beat up little babies? And I agree with you. I wish they would do that more, but I think it is because they're holding it off for the season. Scotty hit all 4 of his free throws. He had 12 rebounds, including 2 offensive. And that's huge, man. Like, in some ways, I said this yesterday, y'all. He's Ben Wallace. He's Ben Wallace. He's Tim Duncan. Think about it. He's a way better offensive player than Ben Wallace because he can shoot and he can do everything offensively in certain ways. And not only that, he's way better passer than Ben Wallace. But in some ways, he's built like Ben Wallace. And you've seen him with his big poofy afro like Ben Wallace, an homage. That's really what we need to start orienting our heads to. In the beginning, I thought maybe we need to look at Scott like a Magic Johnson, a Jason Kidd, a point guard, a big point guard that's going to get triple doubles. But I think the people need to amend their perception of Scott in some ways. And if you really want a guideline, it's Ben Wallace or Tim Duncan. Seriously. I mean, I think he has way more all-around skill than Ben Wallace ever did. But he's not as good as Tim Duncan. So Scotty's somewhere in between those two guys. And remember that Ben Wallace is absolutely necessary for the Pistons to get that third championship that they got with Rip Hamilton and Chauncey Billups. If you understand the role of Ben Wallace on the Detroit Pistons' third championship, you can understand why what Scott is going to do for us is important. Because that's the shit he's going to do for us. He may not be exactly the same shot blocking threat as Wallace. He may not be as strong and big as Wallace, but he is that kind of player. I'm telling you guys, you need to pay attention to this. 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. He's stat stuffing. So in some ways, him and Jacoby in particular, if they're not going to shoot well, they need to go and get other stats. They need to collect rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. If they're not going to shoot well, they can be stat stuffers and still help their team to win. And I've seen that. And Scotty does that. He did some good stat stuffing along with a double-double with 10 points and 12 rebounds. And once again, he was the highest plus minus on the Raptors yesterday. So he must have been doing something right, because the 21 minutes he was on the court, the Raptors outscored the Wizards 22 points. So, I mean, I don't know what y'all want. You guys want your burger served to order like at Burger King? Have it your way? No. Scotty Barnes has to exist in this world as he is. And y'all need to accept him for who he is. That's the main thing I got to tell everybody in Raptors Nation. Y'all are projecting too much of your perceived ideas of what he should be. And we need to let him go on this, because right now he's under a major microscope. There's a lot of people opining on him that have no basis in reality or understanding in what I'm talking about right now. And they're talking out of their ass. And we need to not mimic them. We need to not do this. I'm saying this right now. We need amnesty for Scotty Barnes as he's in the metamorphosis that I described earlier. You guys can't be judging him every single thing for every little thing. We need to give him passes sometimes. And we need to allow him to fail and succeed. And I think over analyzing him, put him under a microscope, and holding him so much to account is not fair in some ways. Because look, he's not just our franchise player; he's our team captain, and he's really vocal. He's very communicative, and he's sacrificing his own stuff for himself in some ways to make his teammates better. And in some ways, that's one of the most selfless things you can do in basketball. Right there. My fifth star of the game is Jacoby, as I said. And I have honorable mentions too. I would have done 7 stars, but Jacoby Walters is my fifth star. And the only reason why I gave it to Jacoby is because, listen, Jacoby's had a bad preseason, just like Scott and Jacoby and Emmanuel. They've had a rough start to it, but they all got it out of the mud. They showed stuff where there's like, yeah, we can do this. And I'm starting to feel better. Emmanuel showed it. He started to look better. Jacoby did too. He got a little 4-point play, got fouled on a 3-point shot, and made it. You know, he had a couple of other things go really well for him late in the game. And that's the thing. It's just like what Trevor just said in his words of wisdom. Jacoby's not hanging his head. Jacoby's not fading into the distance. No, he's keep on showing up. He's going to keep on trying, and those shots will start going in. And I like it because he found his confidence back when it looked like he was losing his confidence desperately at the beginning of the game. By the end of the game, Jacoby Walter found his confidence again, and I'll give him credit for that. 3 of 10 from the field, did not shoot well. 1 of 6 from 3, did not shoot well. 3 of 3 at the free throw line. 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, a plus 14 with 10 points. And once again, that plus or minus stat in these preseason games that have been really bad at times, where the Raptors have played so bad, these matter to me right now in preseason, because they are very much delineating out of all the 20 guys we're playing, who's winning basketball and who's losing basketball. And Sky's a plus 22. Jacoby's a plus 14. And I'll say this, there's not a lot of guys on the Raptors last night that were pluses. Jamison Battle, plus 15. Jonathan Mobo, a plus 11. And a lot of guys were minuses because they were out there and they were in some situations where they coughed up leads and they didn't play good defense, and the Wizards got easy scores. So my honorable mentions for the game, RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett was solid earlier in the game. He did not shoot that well either. 24 minutes for RJ, 4 of 12 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. The thing I'm giving RJ honorable mention for is his 5 of 5 at the free throw line. You got to love that. RJ's had such struggles on the free throw line since he's been a Raptor. And, well, in some ways, he's shown promise that maybe he's going to shoot way better for free throws this year. And I really hope that for him, because in some ways that was one of the weirdest things we could critique him on, because honestly, that's one of the easiest things in the NBA. It's like RJ does some of the hardest things in the NBA with ease, but one of the easiest things he's not doing well at. So when he cleans up his free throws this year, it'll be really good. So 5 for 5 at the free throw line. I see you, RJ Barrett. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 turnovers, a minus 11 for RJ, 15 points in 24 minutes. Yeah, he was solid early in the game. And like I said, this is really for the free throws. Sandro Mamo's my other honorable mention. He did not shoot totally well in this game, but he stat stuffed. So it's like, once again, if you're not going to shoot totally well, if you're doing all kinds of other things to help the team, well, you're putting in good minutes. 4 of 11 for Sandro. He missed all 4 of his 3-point attempts. He had 4 offensive rebounds, which is fantastic. 9 rebounds altogether. 3 assists, 2 steals. and 1 turnover. He was a +6 with only 8 points in 20 minutes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. There's a lot to this when you're gauging all this. Is it winning basketball? Are they adding other things if their shot's not going in? These are things that matter. These are things that matter. All right, let's keep going. Trevor J saying, is Darko giving quickly the green light to take all these threes so he can get a rhythm? Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, this has been open about this since last season. He said, I want Emmanuel to shoot as many threes as possible. And, if Emmanuel gets 10, that's ideal. That's exactly what he wants. Because in some ways, look, if Emmanuel is shooting that many threes, well, if he misses the first 5, he's probably not going to get to 10 on the field goal attempts. Let's just put it that way. Like if he goes 0 for 5 from 3 to start in his first 5 attempts, he's probably not going to get 10 attempts. So when Emmanuel does get 10 3-point attempts, that means he's in it and he's making it good. And he's got the green light to go all the way there. So Darko, when he says, I want him to shoot 10 threes every game, well, that's with a condition. If he makes a certain amount of the first 5, yeah, can proceed forward. But if he's not looking like he has it that night, then he's probably cut off from shooting the threes in the second half. So that's part of the reason why we need Emmanuel to shoot well from 3, because we want his 3-point production throughout the whole entire game. And if he's cold and we can't go to him later in the game, well, we're going to be calling Grady. We're going to be calling Jamison. We're going to be calling Oshai. We're going to be calling other guys' numbers to take those threes instead. But in some ways, I know most Raptors fans can see that when Emmanuel is shooting the threes and making them, that's a very powerful thing for us. And he should be a priority to take the threes as long as he's making them. Like I said, as long as he's making them. Good morning to Trucker Kaz. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody today. I like to look at this day as like kind of like a day to really just get into the spirit of it. Not really like the whole history of things. I mean, Indigenous Day is important, and whatever they're celebrating in the States is fucked up. We'll just say that. But I will say this: the whole thing about this holiday and Christmas is the sentiment is the things like giving, is being giving and being with your family, and being thankful and having gratitude. So the most important thing about Thanksgiving to me at this point in my age is to practice gratitude. Is to think about what you're thankful for, and don't gloss over that part of the holiday. Sure, the food's nice, seeing everybody else is great, but the whole thing for me right now is that gratitude and realizing, taking stock of what you have to be thankful for and really valuing it. In some ways, we live in a world now where we need to fight for what we value, and we need to be steadfast in this. So, yeah, practice gratitude, practice thankfulness. That's what I say. Good to see Trucker Cast. Good morning to you, sir. I'm sure you're not on the road today. That's right. It's a Monday. He's not on the road right here. Yeah. All right. Love to see all the names in the chat. I'm going to get to every comment, guys. I promise. Neil is here. Good morning to Blackhawk. I appreciate your support of the channel. Thank you, Fiercey, also for your support. Scotty doubled and was a +22. Good in my book. Raptors are giving him just enough to make it through the preseason. They can turn it up during the regular season. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't have to waste our time out there with guys like Roddy and all those guys in our games and regular season games. I mean, that was really dangerous what they were doing. We want to beat the Wizards. It looks bad if you lose to the Wizards. But playing a bad team, like our bad lineup, for that much of the fourth quarter with the lead that we had, we were asking for it, for the young Wizards to come back and steal the game from us at the end. I mean, in some ways, it was very joyful to hear the Wizards announcers really think they had the game in the bag, and then they didn't. I mean, that is Wizards basketball to a degree. It's like, man, in some ways, it's like, look, this was their first preseason game. They did look rusty. They didn't look totally right, and it rubbed off on us. But, man, what a tease for the fans that came down there for that. What a tease. You thought y'all were going to win, and, well, the Raptors snatched it from you right at the last second, literally. So awesome. So awesome. I think you're right. I think that in some ways it's like, look, we're not showing our hand right now. We're just doing preseason stuff right now. And in some ways, we're winning still, too, which is crazy. These don't count, but hey, it's nice to have 2 game winners right in a row. Game winners are fun. Game winners are fun. I say that. Yeah. Yeah. James is saying Chucky looking like a good pickup. For a few years, the Miami Heat were known as a team in the NBA that just get so much from undrafted talent. But on the down low, the Raptors have been a very good team for this. And it starts with people like Fred VanVleet. If you think about this, we've pegged some really good undrafted talent. In fact, one of the guys we pegged was on the other team, didn't play in the game, but is somebody that they value. And they were talking about on the broadcast, Justin Champagnie. We could look at what have we done with our drafted pick the last 2 years? Well, a lot of teams, when they get undrafted guys, do they stick around? No. Sometimes they just get cut. Did they get any value out of undrafted? I don't know. This is 2 years in a row that the Raptors have have undrafted a guy, have taken an undrafted guy after the draft, and they've been absolutely valuable, and they look like rotational pieces in Jamison Battle and Chucky Hepburn. Because Battle is going to be an NBA player. The Masai and Bobby pegged him, and they grabbed him, and look at the genius of that. Like, Jamison Battle was not used as a draft pick to get him, and the same for Chucky Hepburn. So this is something we should be proud of, Raptors organization and Raptors fans, is that our team really does know how to scout. And it doesn't matter. Like I've told people, we don't need a draft pick. We don't need a high draft pick. We don't even need a draft pick to get talent because we can take guys undrafted and they end up becoming rotation players for us. I mean, that's a luxury right there. Every Raptors fan who says we need to tank to get a lottery pick, y'all are idiots. We don't need to be anywhere. We could do whatever the fuck we want. We could land anywhere in the draft and we're going to get talent because we're like that. We're like that. Why didn't anybody else pick Chucky Hepburn in the draft? Nobody did. He fell right through the draft. But the Raptors knew about him. And the Raptors said, yeah, this guy, in some ways, we checked him out. And it looks like he could be doing this and this on the next level. And we want to try it out. So, Chucky, hi, Chucky. My name's Bobby Webster. I'm the GM of the Toronto Raptors. Would you like to play for the Toronto Raptors, Chucky? Because I'll sign you right now to a 2-way contract, and you'll get 2 years with the Raptors at least. If you do your work, you can get even longer. Does that sound good to you, ACC Defensive Player of the Year? Sign me up, Bobby Webster. I'll be there. Because, listen, we know also Justin Champagnie said this when he was an undrafted pickup by the Raptors. Man, 4 or 5 teams wanted me. 4 or 5 teams wanted me. They were asking me. They were negotiating with me. But I knew the Raptors' track record with Fred VanVleet and other people like that. I was like, I'm going to Toronto. Champagnie said that publicly about why he chose Toronto out of all other NBA teams as an undrafted person. And, that says something right there. Chucky Hepburn could have had 5 or 6 teams after him, just like us. And nobody's going to talk about that. Nobody may talk about that other side, the market of the undrafted players and who gets to who. There's no waiver wire system like in our fantasy basketball league. Who gets rights to say who? No, it's a straight up negotiation, and it's a free-for-all. And there's no rules. Anybody can come get Chucky Hepburn. Why does he come and sign with us? Why does he come here if Toronto's so bad? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In some ways, we need to find the areas where we can toot our horn. Everyone say, oh, people don't want to come to Toronto. Well, good undrafted players do. Good undrafted players do. And if the Miami Heat were one of the best teams at getting undrafted players and getting stuff out of them, and in recent past, that's true. The Raptors are too. The Raptors are too. Exactly right. Exactly right. Fiercely saying, good morning, fam, and happy Monday. Yesterday's game was so weird and messy on both ends. I mean, I'm glad we got the dub, but these turnovers were too much. Let me do the team stats since you brought it up, because there is a really weird team stats to this game. Once again, the Raptors are losing in major categories that don't help you win, but they're still finding a way to win just barely in the last second. That's why I say, once again, Darko's win yesterday, guys. That was Darko's win yesterday. And in some ways, the smartness of holding off Rodin against the Celtics and then bringing them in like crazy and doing what they did. I mean, seriously, you can look at the game probability for the win on ESPN's box score from last Friday. And at 3.5 minutes to go in that Celtics game, ESPN had a 90 or a 90 something percent chance that the Celtics were going to win with 3.5 minutes to go with the lead that they had on us. And then Rodin and them went crazy and made chaos, and they made it up and boom, stole the game right at the end, just barely. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy. And literally in this one yesterday, the percentage that the Wizards are going to win after Will Riley's free throws was extremely high. I think it was like an 88% too. Like the Wizards are just going to win. And the fact that the Raptors executed with 0.8 seconds and did what they did, that's a testament to their coach. I'm telling you right now, that's a testament to them. Yeah, they shot horrible again, 33.6 from the field. But they did get, listen to this, man. The Wizards took 89 shots yesterday. The Raptors took 107. So almost 20 more shots than the Wizards were taking. And that's just hustle. That's just getting after it. That's defense. That's all kinds of stuff like that. The Raptors shot horrible at 3-point. Also, they shot under 30% from three, but they did make 5 more threes than the Wizards, which was good. The Wizards didn't shoot well at three either. And if the team, if they had shot better at three, obviously a better team shooting at three would have kicked our ass yesterday. Seriously. The free throws were really good for the Raptors, though, yesterday, including RJ with the 5 for 5, 27 of 30 from 3 free throws. And that's fantastic. That's the stuff we like to see. They out-rebounded us. So they shot better than us, and they out-rebounded us. And we still won. That's crazy. We got 21 assists. They got 21 assists, but the turnovers were different. The other team had 19 turnovers. I was hoping, because and this was trending good in the early game, because they had like 12 turnovers in the first quarter, I think, the Wizards. I was like, oh, man, I want to get this 40 turnover game on them. Like Raptors forced 40 turnovers on them. That'd be insane. You know, we forced 30 turnovers on teams recently. I'd love a Wizards team that's young like that. I just said that in the stream yesterday. I said we could force 40 turnovers on the Wizards if we really are locked in and they're susceptible. And, well, it didn't go on that pace. And they ended up only getting 21 turnovers on them. So only 9 more turnovers on them after the first quarter. That's weird. It seems like the Raptors should have turned on the pressure a little bit more with such a young team on the other side and gotten more turnovers. Alas, it did not come true. But the Raptors did pretty good at taking care of the ball for themselves. I know Fiercey's saying they were turning the ball over, but they only had 11. 21 assists, 11 turnovers for the Raptors. And that's not bad. I mean, that's way better than 21 assists, 19 turnovers for the Wizards. Their assist to turnover ratio a lot closer. Ours is almost 2-1. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. They're really good at blocks, especially Keyshawn George. Earlier in the game, he was getting all kinds of weird blocks, like blocking people at the basket. And we were really good at steals. So we had 12 steals, and they had 11 blocks. And then fast break points, we did really well there. 25 fast break points. And they outscored us in the points to paint, too. And we caused more fouls also. So it's like, it's a weird game. The stats do not tell us that we won. That's the crazy thing. And that's these kind of games where 1-point game, the stats can be very lopsided for another team, and the other team actually won, you know, and that's one of these cases. We could do so much to do so much better. Obviously, we could shoot better. We could do things better. And, well, there's improvement. That's good. And we're still winning. There's nothing wrong with that. That's right. There's nothing wrong with that. Fiercey saying, I almost cursed SAR in the last seconds and was about to type in, that's the chat's losing to the Wizards. How embarrassing. But then the buzzer beater took me by surprise. RJ lifting Darko was nice. Yeah, it was cool. And RJ understands that's my coach. And in some ways, thank you, coach, for being so good and drawing up a great play and seeing the success and us getting a game winner. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, once again, let's not count our chickens before they've hatched, and let's see it all the way to the final buzzer. And even after the final buzzer, hold your breath while Ray Acosta goes and looks it over before he actually makes his final ruling. If they had called that game against us, I would have been so pissed because I've been like, that's bullshit. You know he made that in time. And it would have been some sort of weird fucking conspiracy thing with me. I'd be like, why the fuck won't they let the Raptors win in close last-second shots and they're ruling against us? No, they didn't do that. They called it right. Good job, Ray Acosta. If you had had a chance to call it wrong and get us not the victory, I'm sure you would have done that. But no, the evidence was there. They couldn't deny it, and we did win that game completely. You know, because Josh Tibbins stole a game from us last year with Jamal Shed. And, you know, it's preseason. In some ways, they don't care. I wouldn't have cared in some ways if we had totally lost. But it's nice to win and get these feelings and see the guys so happy. And see RJ lift in Darko. That's for sure. That's right. Fiercely saying picked him up and was so hyped, respected Darko for drawing this play. Yeah, it was really smart. In some ways, he knew the trends of the game and he knew the weakness. And in some ways, it has to be near the basket. I don't understand why Brian Keefe didn't figure this out. Like, I mean, you could do a catch and shoot, but the percentage isn't as good. So as close as the basket you can get. But I guess Sarr just did the nice little spin move, and it was drawn up really well, and they executed it right, and they had the right person inbound in it, and Dreher Roden, and he executed right too. So it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Fiercely saying Scotty has a double-double. He was not that horrible. Some people are overreacting. My goodness. Yeah, I just feel like he's under a microscope. Once again, I'm going to tell people there's a lot of people that want him on their team, and they're going to come into our spaces and they say, trade him now. Don't fall for this, Raptors fans. Everybody who thinks that Scotty needs to be traded, you're crazy. You don't understand basketball. You don't understand how a player like him will add up to getting the second one of these for the Raptors. So pause, shut up. If you're not educated and you are asking for the Raptors to trade Scotty, you need to shut the hell up, seriously, because that is not what this team needs at all. We are building something around Scotty. And just because he doesn't look like you think he should look doesn't mean he's failing. I'm going to tell you that right now. It doesn't mean he's failing. In fact, there was some really cool stuff in the game last night. He's more confident in some ways on defense and leadership, and he's showing it. And in some ways, he's a better seal on certain things this year than he was last year. I can already see it in preseason. So just let Scott work on what he's going to work on. He may not be working on offense completely right now. He's working on defensive stuff. And a lot of it has to do with communicating and getting his team organized. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Rap Freak Crew. Good morning to you, Cool Cat. Always good to see you in the chat. Cat saying, shout out to Bub Carrington, acting like Will Riley hit the game winner and they won the game. Those guys are young. That team is very young. It's an interesting team. The Wizards, CJ McCollum, leading scorer for the Wizards yesterday. He does not want to be there. In some ways, he's kindergarten cop. CJ had 19 points, 7 of 14 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 turnovers, a plus 15. So he had a winning effect in the game. But man, it's like him and Chris Middleton, you guys, and then I guess what's his name off the bench, Bagley and Kispert. Those are the only vets on this team, and everybody's so green, so young. Alex Sarr wasn't bad in this game. 4 or 5 from the field, 12 points, plus 17, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal. And yeah, they were having fun. And the announcer's saying that they hadn't seen Alex smile so much in a game until playing against his brother. That is a real dream. And the fact that they finally did play against each other, this was special. This was a special game. And somebody was saying, why are we playing Alex Sarr in the game? Well, this did matter. In some ways, it's sentimental. You know, these guys are brothers. They played against each other their whole life. And they'd never played against each other like this until yesterday. So let them enjoy it, especially since it's preseason, especially since one of them was the best player for their team and the other one hit the game winner. So there's a lot to like. And then they did do the jersey swap after the game, the Sarr brothers. And you could see that Olivier had a big smile on his face, and Alex was a little bit, that's the outcome of the game. Keyshawn George was interesting, man. At times, he was really impressing me in the game last night. He was showing really Scotty kind of stuff, like really stat stuffing, getting steals, blocks, rebounds, getting assists. But he didn't shoot well at all. I was surprised after the end of the game that Keyshawn was 3 for 14, 1 of 7 from 3. 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 blocks. That was amazing. A plus 13 with 11 points in 25 minutes. Keyshawn, you got to tighten up, bro. You know, when I watched you for America this summer, I was hyping you up, and you were really good early in America. But when it got closer to the really important games, you faded, and you kind of did not do well when it really mattered for Canada against the final rounds. And when we lost in the semifinals to, I believe it was Argentina. And then, we lost the States in the third place game. Yeah, you got to tighten up, Keyshawn George, but you're very young. You have a lot of promise. You're a good player. And you're on my fantasy team, so I hope you do well. Chris Middleton was 4 for 4 in the game. He didn't miss anything. He didn't miss a free throw or nothing. He had 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 11 points. But alas, it's like, what are these guys going to do, man? This team's going to be so bad. I'm telling you right now. These youngsters are pretty good. Now, Bub Garrington was awful. 0 for 8, 0 for 5 from 3, 4 points, a minus 34 for Bub Carrington. And they're saying he's going to be their point guard. Ooh, that'd be bad. That'd be bad. The rookie Trey Johnson was the backup point guard, but he got a bunch of rebounds. Yeah, I don't know. Cam Whitmore, he had a little spot in the middle there where he was playing really big. And Marvin Bagley may be very important for the Wizards this year. He may be very, very important for them because honestly, they need that veteran leadership and a big too. And a big, yeah. Bub Carrington, you're funny. Cool guy saying, what a last minute dub, preseason fireworks. That's right. It's entertaining. It's fun. I don't know. Maybe many people were doing Thanksgiving. They weren't even watching. People were watching NFL. People were getting a tailgate pregame for Blue Jays. You know, there could be all kinds of different things people were watching other than the Raptors. Well, the people that watch the Raptors, well, you got a little joy and a little delight and a little treat in watching that game. That's right. That's right. Fiercey saying, I'm thinking it was an audition to see which player he keeps from the third unit, despite the buzzer beaters. Sarg got to go. Roden had a tough game, but I'm still rooting for him. No, of course this is what this is. I mean, this is what the preseason is, Fiercey. We don't have to understand this is what this is. Of course he's taking a long look. He's trying to figure out who's going to cut. And I'll say this right now. AJ Lawson being sick yesterday and not playing and being a part of this, in some ways that hurt him, but in some ways it helped him too. Because he might have probably been in that lineup at the end of the game that coughed up the lead and made it so close. And that did not look good. I'm going to say this right now. I'll go look at the extended box score real quick. We'll do every Raptor I haven't talked about yet. We'll start with, I went over all the starters already. Honorable mention or stars for them. Olivier Sarr hit the game winner, but he wasn't good. Fierce is exactly right. He was very bad on defense. He lets people go right by him. This is the thing. The center position, the most important thing is defense. The fact that Jakob plays the way he does on defense is why he's one of the best centers in the league. If you don't play defense, if you can't stop anybody near the basket, you're a waste. You don't even need to be in the NBA. And that's the whole reason why Olivier Sarr should make this team, is because his job is to be the last line of defense as a center. And if you're a matador and you're just letting the bull run through with your red cape, well, you're useless. You're useless. And that was a lot of the fourth quarter. He's matador and the Wizards right on by. Well done by. Okay, eat up our lead. Zoo, zoo, zoo. All right, good job. Hey, But he was 1 for 4. He was 0 for 2 from 3. He made both his free throws, 4 rebounds, 3 blocks, a minus 16 for Olivier Sarr with 4 points. But 2 of those points were the last basket of the game. And in some ways, I should give him an honorable mention for executing. But also at the same time, the other side of the coin, like Fiercey's saying, the guy's garbage. And we need to drop. He's got to get cut. I think in some ways the game yesterday made it easier for Darko to choose AJ Lawson. Because like I said, he wasn't out there in the middle of that minus of the fourth quarter and them taking our lead from us and almost stealing the game from us back. AJ Lawson's not associated with that. In some ways he gets points for that. Because I'll tell you right now, the other 3 guys who are trying to make this team, they all look bad in the fourth quarter. Whether it was Sarr, whether it was Roddy, and even Roden. Roden did not look good for the most part in that fourth quarter. David Roddy, 12 minutes, 1 of 6 from the field. That's not going to cut it, man. He missed all 4 of his 3-point attempts. 2 of 2 at the free throw line, though. 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 4 points. In fact, I thought they were going to call Roddy's number at the end of the game because you saw just how big and burly he is as a supersized Fred VanVleet. I mean, you watch the game, and he looks like Fred VanVleet running around out there, but wait, he's giant. It's kind of weird. I thought that he would be the best option at the end of the game because he's such a big, burly, strong guy. Throw it into him near the basket and just let him muscle the ball in right at the last second. But maybe he's just not lithe and fast enough to catch and shoot that quick in under a second. So Darko's like, man, he can't be him. If we get the length of Sarr, and get over the shoulder pass past the defender, and he can just kind of lay it in. That's the best call. Then a big round Roddy trying to muscle his way in at 0.8 seconds to make the shot. Because I thought in some ways he might call Roddy's number on that last shot when I saw the way it was setting up. But Roddy was not making shots very well. And like I said, those shots, everything they're missing, that looks bad. And in some ways that gets them cut out of training camp and not on the final roster. And Roden, like I said, he had 7 minutes, so he came in a little bit earlier in the fourth. But once again, it's like, hi, Jared Roden, go out there and do something now and just take over. But he played that full 7 minutes to the end of the game. 1 of 2 from the field, 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 1 assist, 2 fouls, a minus 13 with 3 points for Roden. Now, the pass from the outside into the game winner, top notch. But that defensive energy and stealing and stuff wasn't totally there for him yesterday. And in some ways, like I said, if we're differentiating who's going to be the last roster spot, AJ Lawson just jumped up in the power rankings in absentia. Seriously, because he wasn't a part of the falling apart of the fourth quarter yesterday. He wasn't a part of it. Other players to talk about, Jonathan Mobo, as I said, he was solid, man. He only got 2 points. He didn't play a lot. He didn't get the start, but he got 11 minutes, 1 of 3 from the field, 3 rebounds, 1 block, 1 turnover, a plus 11 with 2 points. He must have been doing something right. Ochai Agbaji on the down low was really good yesterday. In some ways, there were points in the game where I was like, well, Grady and Jacoby aren't doing anything, but Abaji's solid. Whatever Abaji, even if he's not shooting, he's doing other things to help us, especially on defense and rebounding. Because Abaji got 11 rebounds in the game yesterday, 4 offensive rebounds, 2 of 8 from the field. He missed all 3 of his threes, though. 1 steal also with 5 points, a -2. Abaji was solid on the down low, even though he wasn't making a shot. He did things like 11 rebounds. That's fantastic. Shed was not that good either yesterday. 13 minutes for Shed, 1 of 6 from the field, 5 of 5 at the free throw line, which is fantastic. 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 turnovers. I like that. So Sheddy did have a part in it. 4 assists, 0 turnovers, +5 and 7 points. So he was on the plus side of things, not on the losing side. On the court. That's pretty good. Elijah Martin, just really nothing. Nothing for Elijah late. He came in with 8 minutes to go. He missed both the shots he took. He got 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and was a -13 with 0 points. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, Chucky is lapping you right now, Elijah. And it's not that you're in competition with Chucky. It's just that in some ways, we spent the draft pick on you, bro. But it is what it is. It's just going to be what it is. You just do your best and do what you can. Don't get out of your lane. And, you need to figure out what NBA contributions you can do with your build. Seriously, man. Because I'm telling you right now, the little guy who's got big muscles who can jump real high and do highlight moves is not an NBA winning thing. You've got to figure out what you can contribute to win in the NBA, Elijah Martin. And it on a steals tip. On the maybe I'm a muscle people with my big strong arms. Maybe go watch Fred VanVleet's highlights and understand how Fred used to just rip the ball from people. Seriously, because you're going to need to have some of this stuff more if you're going to make the NBA. Grady Dick in 18 minutes off the bench, 2 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 turnover, a -2 with 8 points. So he just chipped in 8 points. He didn't shoot totally horribly bad. But then again, he didn't rise to the occasion and do major stuff for us either. So, yeah, it's a solid all-around team effort, if not an ugly game, because we landed the plane on victory, and that's what matters right there. That's right. That was what matters. That's right. Let's see. Fiercely saying Martin to the G League, and Roddy, I'm still on the fence. I don't know if David Roddy will be on the G League, but he could be. I mean, I wouldn't be upset about that. He's a useful veteran. If he's like our Justice Winslow for this year on the Raptors 905, that'd be fine. If Olivier Sarr's there too, that's fine too. And that is very likely that, these guys are already in with our franchise and in our training camp right now. They may have a good path to get to our team later in the year on 10 days possibly. So it may be smart for them to go ahead and take the G League assignment here without any two-way or anything. So, yeah, go play for Mississauga, Olivier. Go play for Mississauga, David Roddy. And, we'll have to see what Roden decides. I think it's not likely that if Roden does not make the team, that he's going to take an assignment to 905 without a two-way. I think that he may explore his other options in other ways around the league or in other places like Europe or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, this may be a do or die time for Roden in more than one way. It may be where he's deciding he's going overseas to get the money over there because he's not getting through the G League door into the NBA correctly right now. So we'll have to see. Fiercely saying Wizards announcers were horrible. Freaking corny jokes. There was no battle. Or do Canadians eat turkey or bacon at Thanksgiving? My goodness, absolute trash. Yeah, I mean, read the room, guys. Some ways right now, Canadian and American tensions are at all-time high. And in some ways, you knew you had the Raptors audience on there, and you did say at some point, "Hey, welcome our Canadian viewers watching on Sportsnet in Canada." You guys knew we were watching, but you still made corny jokes. I think the corniest thing I heard was Drew Gooden talking about how all NBA players have rap albums now, and he's saying like, "Yeah, Grady Dick probably has bars or something like that." I was surprised that Drew Gooden didn't glaze Grady and Oshai more, being a Kansas Jayhawk himself. In some ways, he could have done like, you could have balanced it that way, Drew. You guys went over the top with talking about the Wizards, and you got to toot their horn. In some ways, you got to sell that product to that market. Obviously, nobody's going to the game. You saw who was there yesterday, and I get that. But in some ways, you got to do a little bit of commentating on the other team also. I mean, Jack and Matt and Alvin, they do comment on the other team and talk about them during the game. And you guys, man, the way you glaze the Wizards and you don't even talk about the game. You're not even calling the play-by-play announcer. I don't even know your name, Jabroni, that was with Drew Gooden. It's like you weren't even calling the game yesterday. You're just having a conversation with Drew Gooden for 2 hours. Did I hear you call the game in any kind of way, like saying this person shot this and this and that? No, you're just having a conversation there. And in some ways, I hate that kind of broadcasting. Remember, you're a play-by-play announcer. And we don't give a shit about your opinions on certain things. In some ways, you need to just call the game. Matt Devlin gets the assignment. But whoever's calling the Wizards game, I don't even know your name, bro. I didn't even catch it. I don't even think you said it possibly on the broadcast. I know Drew Gooden is. Yeah, I know who he is. But they were horrible. You're exactly right. Megan McPeak's good. The sideline reporter is good. She's been around for a long time. And yes, Mo, I saw your chat. You're saying, yep, me and Lex know who Megan McPeak is. Yeah. Yeah, she's good. And Drew Gooden wasn't totally annoying, but man, yeah, that was corny what he said about Thanksgiving for sure. For sure. Fiercely saying I was expecting Matt Devlin. The disappointment, the only place I would accept this happen is Charlotte. Their announcers are unbiased and lively. Well, Del Curry is one of their announcers, former Raptor Del, and he knows Toronto intimately from playing for us. So he would give us the proper respect, and he has in the past. Yeah, I mean, if this is going to be a trend in any kind of way going forward under Rodgers' ownership, I'm not going to be happy about this. And in some ways, I would ask, does the other franchises in Toronto, the Maple Leafs and the Blue Jays, ever have to go through something like we did yesterday as a team, where our announce crew does not get sent to an away game to call the game, and we have to piggyback and listen to the American broadcasters? I mean, I don't know. People that know the Blue Jays better or the Leafs, because I don't watch them, you maybe could tell me if you can remember any games where this happened, what happened to us yesterday. Seriously, because I want to know. Because in some ways, I want to make sure we're being treated fairly. In some ways, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was expecting Matt Devlin. I wonder how Matt Devlin felt about it yesterday. It was probably really fucking weird to have a game on Sportsnet and him and Alvin aren't calling it. It's probably really fucking weird, man. I was like, what did Matt Devlin do? I went home. I stayed home. Don't worry, Raptors freak. It was nice to have time off. Yeah. I'm okay, Matt Devlin. You wanted time off? Okay, it's a long season. I get it. You're about to go on that roller coaster ride. So, yeah, I'm wondering, are you guys going to be calling the game in Boston on Wednesday night? Are y'all going even on this trip? Did you even leave Toronto? Anybody from the broadcast crew? Nobody? And nobody was there to do any interviews after the game either? No reporters? Nobody? Maybe this is for Canadian safety. No, you can't go to D.C. It's a fucking fucked up place now with the National Guard and bullshit. People were wondering, why is there nobody at the DC game yesterday? Well, it is the middle of the day. It is Washington. It is an NFL Sunday. It is preseason. It is the Raptors. There is a lockdown of the National Guard in Washington, D.C., and all of business in D.C. is down anyway. Nobody's going to restaurants. No one's going anywhere because they don't want to be hassled by the Gestapo. So, there's a lot of reasons why nobody was at that game yesterday for the Wizards game. A lot of reasons, a lot of good reasons. Seriously, NFL, a lot of bad reasons. And National Guard. You know what I'm saying? Randolph's here. Good morning, Randolph Phillips. Thanksgiving blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Always give thanks for the blessings of life. Grace and mercy means we don't get what we really deserve, but what we don't. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay. Grace and mercy means we don't get what we really deserve, but what we don't. I don't totally understand that, but that's okay. I'm all about the gratitude message though, and the thanks, the giving of the thanks. I mean, seriously, you could think cornucopia, you can think pilgrims, you can think uh, uh, turkey and all that stuff, the food. No, you got to think about the gratitude, the attitude of gratitude that goes with Thanksgiving, and get into that mindset. And once again, also with Christmas, it's not about the gifts and getting all the stuff and all the consumerism. No, it's about family. It's about spending time together. It's about recapping your year and looking back on the year and hoping that it's a better year next year. And spending time with loved ones. That's what Christmas is about. It's not necessarily about buying all these gifts for each other. They kept commercialization and hijacking of that. This is what we got to remember. Why are these holidays these holidays? Let's get to the basic idea of them and why we do them. And Thanksgiving is to show gratitude for the things you have in your life. I appreciate Randolph Phillips, blessings of Phillips family, all the Raptor Freak families. I appreciate your role in my life, man. Reggie is here. Good to see Reggie. Thank you for supporting this channel. Yeah, after the first inning, it was only 1-0. The way the Mariners pitcher was laboring, the Jays left at least 2 more runs on the board. It's only one game, though. They will recover. Yeah, that's the good thing. And it wasn't like this was a rout. This was this is this kind of baseball game where it's like runs are a premium and you can't leave them on the bases. And that sounds what Reggie's saying, that they had an opportunity and they left some guys out there that they could have gotten. That's what it is. That's baseball. And you don't want at least they didn't get routed like we routed the Yankees. You know what I'm saying? It was a close game. And well, we're going to have to do better next time. That's for sure. That's right. Fiercely saying it's not only Scotty, at some point the Raptors collectively shot 22%. Yeah, it was really bad. It was really, really bad. And let's once again not get it twisted. This is a 3:00 start. This is the Wizards. The Wizards are young and they had not played yet at all. So they're coming in completely green and all goofy and no rhythm for them. And it's infectious. If one team is kind of goofy and not very good, it can rub off on the other team. And things can get unprofessional and look more G League like all of a sudden. And there was a really high proclivity chance for that to happen yesterday. In some ways, I knew it was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen. There's going to be an ugly game, bad shooting, lots of turnovers because there's a lot of young players on the court. And a lot of those young players don't know exactly what they're doing in the NBA yet. So there's going to be a problem on both sides. Is the age pyramid on there. You take Chris Middleton and CJ McCollum off that team, and you got a bunch of little kids on the Wizards. And the Raptors have a lot of youngsters on their team also playing right now. So, I mean, it degenerated into a glorified G League game in some ways. And that's just, I mean, I knew that was going to happen, honestly. I should have said it more in the preview. I said, guys, this game's going to be ugly. I know it is, and it was. It was. Fiercely saying Wizards attendance worse than Sacramento. If they maintain that trend, it's going to be a long season for the fans. I remember Raptors scored high intensity. Fans are there no matter what. Well, like I said, this is bigger than this. The Wizards have not had good attendance for a long time. That's true. But it's going to be even worse right now with President Trump in that city and what's going on right there. Nobody wants to go out and do anything. In fact, he's bad for business all around in the United States. He's absolutely been horrible for their economy, absolutely destroying their country from within. And, this trend may happen in a lot of NBA cities around the NBA in the United States this year. There, some of the smaller markets and some of the markets that are in cities that are being under siege, like Portland, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., there may be different attendance just because of fucking Gestapo stopping people around the streets. Nobody wants to go out to eat anymore. He's really hurting businesses. He's really hurting the economy. He's an absolute piece of shit. So, part of the attendance not being good is absolutely what I just talked about just now. And, Wizards, whatever. The Wizards never had good attendance. It's not like they've averaged a sellout ever, any time in the modern era. Seriously, they've never had good attendance at their games. Come on now. It's going to be a long season for them. It's been a long century for them. It's been a long decade for them, a couple of decades now. Let's see. Monique saying, good morning, Rap Freak crew. Notice how Jared Roden always in the right spot for the win. Yeah, the inbounds pass. That's right. That's the right spot for him on the inbounds pass. He's Kyle Lowering to the OG Anunoby on that, and he's been spot on, and he's 2 for 2 on that one. Yeah, Jonathan first, and now Olivier, and Jared Roden. Good job passing the ball in like that. Of course, he was way better in the game against the Celtics and overpowering the Celtics and winning the game for us. And this one, they coughed up a lead and they made it look real bad. So once again, it's AJ Lawson's spot to have, in my opinion, the last roster spot on the Raptors. Yeah, I love Jared Roden. I think he's a great player, and he'll have a special place in my heart for the future as what he's done for the Raptors, even in a small bit. I will never forget that. It's just in some ways, sometimes it's just the way it is. There's not enough spots. I wish, in some ways I would totally swap him out for Elijah Martin right now. If we could have Jared Roden on this team for the season and Elijah's not on the Raptors, I wouldn't be upset. And maybe this pisses Elijah Martin off or something like that. I don't care. If you're asking me what makes the Raptors the best team this year, I think Jared Roden in the spot instead of you is the one. Seriously. And I mean, it's nothing against Elijah. It's just that Jared Roden has an accomplished work and progress in the NBA level that he's way ahead and way more useful than you are. And I don't know if you'll ever be that as useful as Jared Roden is right now. And that's what I'm saying. Fiercey's saying, good morning, Raptor Freak, super fan Mo. And yes, Lex pointed out that the last 2 buzzer beaters were inbounded by Roden. You're both correct. Yep, that was good. G saying, have we spoken about Roden's 2 perfect game clutch passes for the wins? Yes, I brought that up right at the start, G. I did. I noted that. Let's go do the Instagram stories because that's kind of where I found out about some of the things that happened. First, we got Garrett Temple, and Garrett Temple Jr. is going to start entering the ranks of Offspring. They're putting in the training to start, and he's saying everything's earned, nothing's given. GT Jr. So, all right, let's see where Garrett Temple Jr. gets to. I haven't seen him do much, like as far as like basketball stuff yet. So maybe he's got some natural chops. I'm sure he does. But I haven't seen much of him. So I haven't scouted Garrett Temple Jr. yet. We'll just have to see where he's at. Slim Duck in the 99s, leaping and loving it and playing for Boston right now. That's right. He's celebrating Wendell Moore Jr. in a slam he made. And he's a windmill slam for number 8 Minot. And yeah, he's on the bench celebrating with his new teammates. You are the elder statesman, Slim Duck, Chris Boucher. You are the oldest Celtic. It's so weird, man. The Raptors franchise leader in bench production is now the senior Celtic on Boston's team. It's crazy. Happy birthday to Yuta Watanabe. He's 31 years old today, and he's posted it on his Instagram. Yuta's 31, y'all. Where does the time go? Like, seriously, did y'all realize Yuta is 31 years old? I didn't think he'd be this old by this point. But, yeah, he's in his 30s. This man is almost as old as Jakob. It's crazy. Let's keep going. There's Jared Roden with, I think it's his niece. After the game, he's holding his niece. And they were really happy. Like, they were celebrating. The family that came to see Jared Roden in D.C. yesterday were celebrating. They came to see their favorite duo, Uncle JJ and Mamu. Seton Hall guys getting love from Seton Hall fans playing in Washington, D.C. So, yeah, Jared Roden, good job on the inbounds pass on both of them. And that's noted here. It's like, what's his friend say? Fortune J, back-to-back game-winning passes. That's right. Game-winning passes on the inbounds. And those passes were pinpoint and really, really well done. Some of that's from 905 work with late game situations with Andrew Jones last year. There's Jonathan Mobo replaying the inbounds pass from Jared Roden to Olivier Sarr. Of course, Mobo was the one who caught it last game. That's right. And he had a young fan with him after the game, Jonathan. The kid was wearing the number 2 Jonathan Mobo jersey, so it's a real one. And who knows? Yeah, Jonathan's nice to see this kid. Who knows I don't know if he's family or just a friend or something. But there you go. He had a specific fan. There we go. This is Kyle Lowry is posting Carter, his son Carter Lowry, and some of his highlights. See, we're scouting the next generation, and Carter Lowry's got some skills, y'all. Dude, this is a regular occurrence now. It is officially an official Sunday thing. The Sunday Bangers with Pascal Siakam. And he's like, y'all don't get annoyed with me. He's like, who knows this banger? And he's cruising around. He's listening to this song. I love this new segment. You know the Raptors Freak loves dependable content. Pascal Siakam, look at what he does. So you're going to do a dependable Sunday Bangers thing all season long? That'd be awesome, man. Because you know why? because every single time, I don't know the bangers usually myself, but I see the joy in your face in every single one of those clips, and it just makes my day. So yeah, Sunday bangers with Pascal Siakam, keep them coming. That's what I'm saying. I want to see him every week. That's right. Chucky Hepburn is getting some love from. He's giving some love to his friend Terrence Edwards. Okay, Chucky's not even posting stuff about himself or the Raptors. His other friends. AJ Lawson celebrating Olivier Sarr with the win for Toronto. Jamison Battle has that last second win for the Raptors on his Instagram. Kobe Walter has it too. There you go. Another game-winning pass by Jared Rhoden. Very, very awesome. Let's see. Lindsey Dunn's on the field yesterday for the Blue Jays with some friends covering the game. We're in a black dress. Let's see. Who else do we got? There's some youngsters playing Understand the Grind court. So there's Norman Powell's friends. Do we need to do that? No, we won't need to do that. That's the Instagram stories for today. Yeah, they're celebrating Jared Rhoden's excellent inbounds passing. Is what's going on right there. That's right. That's right. That's right. Let's see. Reggie's saying Scotty Barnes is Scottie Pippen. That's my comp. That's not a good comp, man. That's not a good comp. I mean, in some ways, yeah, the all-round stat stuffing is good, but Scottie Pippen was the second banana, and that's not exactly right. It's not exactly right. They don't play the same position either. I mean, they had the same first name. I mean, yeah. But no, this isn't a good comp to me. I'm telling you right now, the original comp I had for him was Magic Johnson. When he first came in, I started hearing, oh, he wants to be a point guard. He wants to do, all right, you want to be Irvin Johnson. Then I started to see his hands and some of the things he could do. And I was like, he's Kawhi. He could actually be Kawhi. And that's true too. In some ways, if Scotty really dedicates himself to being an overpowering offensive player, more as his career goes on, he can get to levels of unstoppableness like Leonard. It's just in some ways that's not the priority right now. But he could do this over time. And at some point late in his career or later in his career, we may see him be more like Kawhi in some ways, guys. No, the guy he is trying to do now is Duncan. He's trying to be like Tim Duncan. Why wouldn't you want to be like Tim Duncan? Out of any player in the league's history, if you could be like Bill Russell or Tim Duncan, that's another one. That's the other guy I need to bring up. He's like Bill Russell. That's who Scotty Barnes is. It's not about Pippen. Pippen was a backcourt guy. Scotty's front court. That's the difference right there. Scotty is front court. He can get all the stats like Scottie Pippen does, but Scotty's front court. He's not backcourt like Pippen. He's front court. So he's more like Bill Russell. He's more like Tim Duncan. He's more like Ben Wallace. And part of it is the shot blocking. Part of it is the team defense, leadership. And these guys were all champions. These guys are all some of the greatest players in the league as far as what. And that's what I'm saying. Scotty's in that kind of mold. We got to change it because Pippen in some ways was a scorer. You do that comparison on, Scott, and everybody's going to expect, oh, he's Scottie Pippen. He needs to score more then. No. Look at Bill Russell. Did Bill Russell score the points for the Celtics in all those championship years? No, he did not. He did not. And he was absolutely the best player on the Celtics during the 60s when they won almost every single championship that decade. He didn't lead scorer. No, it was like Tommy Heinsohn or Bob Cousy or Havlicek or people like that were getting all the scoring for the Celtics. But Bill Russell absolutely integral and mandatory for the Celtics to win like that? Yes. And that's why I'm saying, y'all, we need to understand the player type that Scott is in the vein of those big men. Those big men. Russell, Duncan, Wallace. I'm telling you right now, we got to shift our perception of him. I'm telling you. They have the same first name and they collect all stats. Okay, but besides that, I don't see the comparison. Nako's saying, I just want to see the RJ, Scotty, and BI experience on the court. You know, I'm really mad at ESPN this morning, and I'm not even going to go in on depth on it, but they have a list of the big threes for all 30 teams, and they've ranked them. And once again, they're showing disrespect to us. They put us 23rd once again, and they don't even get our big three right. You know who they're saying our big three is now on ESPN? And this man has not even played an NBA game. They're saying Scotty, Brandon, and Colin are the big three for the Raptors this year. That is so disrespectful to RJ. Once again, ESPN completely throwing shine on RJ. Obviously, RJ has pissed off the New York media somehow by escaping it. So in some ways, if they can't rake him over the coals as a New York Knickerbocker, They're just going to turn off paying attention to him and act like he doesn't exist. That's so fucked up. ESPN, you put you ranked it's crazy some of the threesomes that they ranked as far as the trios, as far as the people that they put together and saying that these trios are better than this Raptor trio. I'm telling you right now, you missed the mark. You need to go barbecue on this. If not, quickly Barrett with Ingram and Barnes. That is the top three for the Raptors. Colin hasn't done jack shit. He hasn't earned that spot yet. And that's just like you, ESPN, handing something to somebody who hasn't even showed up and done anything yet. So, yeah, I think y'all are idiots. You can go look at that list and laugh at it and just see just the ridiculous people that they rank. And also, I don't know who's deciding who the top three players on each team are in that article, but you're an idiot. Some of the people that you chose that are the top three players on each team, it's like your perception of things is really fucked up. Whoever wrote that ESPN article, I don't even want to go look and see. You guys can go look at it and laugh at it if you want. But yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Smooth saying Pippen is still better in my opinion, but Scotty just has to stay in his lane. And that's what I'm saying. Who's to say what his lane is? Why do y'all understand what his lane is? If this is the big wide 401 with like 18 lanes, you going to tell him which lane exactly to be in? No, because you guys don't know which lane he's supposed to be driving in. Darko told him which lane to drive in, and he's trying to drive in the lane Darko wants him to drive in. But that may not be the lane we perceive him to be driving in. So that's what I'm saying. Stay in his lane. Scotty makes his own decisions in his own life, in his own way as an NBA player. And in some ways, there's no preordained model of who he is from before. I'm just trying to show y'all the sides of him that y'all should maybe looking at the angles on him with Duncan and Wallace and Russell. What is his lane? Scott doesn't have a lane. Scotty can be in a different lane every single night, depending on what's up against us. That's what it is right there. If Scotty can master that mid-range shot, that will be an amazing tool for the team to use. That's when he becomes Kawhi. That's when he becomes Kawhi. The more he can do the turnaround mid-range shots and just make them like money over people, that's when he becomes Kawhi, more like Kawhi in that area. Now, once again, him, Jacoby, and Emmanuel have been trying to find their rhythm in preseason so far, and they did, to an extent, have some success finding their rhythm a little bit last night, all three of them. And they haven't been sharp. They haven't been dialed in, and they haven't been making shots. In some ways, I was mad at Scott at the beginning of the game because he was looking a little rough, making some turnovers and missing shots. And I was like, man, you're feeding the haters, Scott. But then he stuck to what he's supposed to do, and his stat line looked good at the end. And that's all that matters to me. I just want the W, and I don't care how much Scott scores. I don't care about that. And that's the big thing. That's why when the comparisons come from an offensive kind of player like Pippen, I'm like, don't do this. You're going to disappoint people. You're going to disappoint yourself if you think that he has to be like Pippen. No. Like, stay in his lane. Yeah, he's making his own lane. That's right. Reggie's saying it's really a BI, RJ, and IQ pecking order. Yeah, and I'll agree with that. But Scott reserves the right to take over and be the main scorer on any given night if he's feeling good enough. If he's feeling it and he has that matchup and he's in the zone, he could all of a sudden be the leading scorer on certain nights because that's just how the whole thing's worked out to. So let's not get it contingent. It's like, oh, Brandon's just going to be the leading scorer every time. It's in flux. It's never set in stone. And Scotty, even if he's playing more defensive-minded this year, he could still explode and have big offensive games at times also and be higher in that pecking order all of a sudden, is what I say. Monique stars the game. IQ, hang on, it jumped ahead. I'll make sure I didn't miss this. Where it is. Where is Monique on this one? Stars the game. IQ, RJ, J Battle, and Scotty. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think that the starters were pretty good. I would give RJ a lot of credit for making all 5 of his free throws. Yeah, and IQ 5 of 10 from 3, fantastic. Nago saying IQ is the best shooter on the team. I'd feel comfy with Brandon taking him. Yeah, Brandon might actually be the best shooter on the team, more consistent, but IQ is one of the best shooters. We'll just have to see this year. In some ways, it'll be in flux. Like I said, everything's in flux. It's not going to be a set thing for the whole year that Brandon's just going to make everything or IQ either or just miss everything. No, it's going to be ups and downs. But I think the most consistent shooters for the Raptors are those two guys. I think that Brandon may be the very most consistent shooter for the Raptors, and IQ and RJ may be the next two. RJ's really showing a lot more consistency with his jump shot. His three-pointers look really good so far this preseason. He's very much dialed in on his threes, and he's making the very wide open ones. He's nailing them, and that's a good sign right now. But like when everything is not set, he's going to go back and forth on whether the threes are going in. Hopefully they'll go in most of the time, though. Troy Henry's here. Good to see Raptor Freak Troy Henry. It's been a bit. This is a long time. Raptor Freak, good to see you, Troy. What a win yesterday. It was a concern for me at the last few minutes, but boy, did they pull it off. Give credit to our coach. Everybody that puts down Darko, that's one that can show you exactly why he's a good coach. Sure, it's the Wizards. Sure, it's preseason. Sure, we shouldn't have been in that position at that point in the game to be in that spot. But the coach drew up a good play and the team executed. And that's the sign of a good coach right there. It's a sign of a good coach. Good to see you, Troy. Really good to see you, man. Nako saying even Brendan Carlson has some value to OKC. Yeah, Brendan Carlson, it was an undrafted pickup by the Raptors, but we didn't keep him for very long. And I didn't disagree with that. Some people are still mad that we didn't hold on to Brendan Carlson. I can see the flaws in his game, and I can see why he's a dead end. And he can look good and do certain things and pal around and get a championship with the Thunder last year. But I still wouldn't want him on the Raptors right now. And I know a lot of fans are mad that we still gave up Brandon Carlson last year. I don't understand why y'all are so upset about a guy who's such a low-level player. Seriously. He's not a needle pusher. He's not going to grow into something that's going to be so monumental that we're going to be like, damn, we really fucked up. Nope, none of that's going to happen. And I don't get it. I don't get that. Fiercely saying nothing more frustrating than having a star player injured in a preseason game. Austin Reeves had a knee injury yesterday. Not sure for how many games he'll be out for. Well, Lakers are getting off to an unhealthy start. And just in general, geez, well, it is what it is. They're going to talk about them a lot, and they're going to be losers. Watch. They're going to talk about them a lot. Fiercely saying, I'm not counting yesterday's game, but notice we have even more synergy and less turnovers from last year, despite adding McCollum and Middleton. Wizards are still hella messy. No protecting the ball at all. Yeah. Well, it's the Wizards. Now, this is really interesting. I think this is we'll do this. We're going to do the check-in of the game, the stat of the game. And it's Josh Lewenberg who's talking about this. This is really interesting. This is Josh Lewenberg, not Kurthika. The Raptors improved to 3-1 in preseason. Offense is still a work in progress, but the defense has been impressive. The Raptors have forced 98 turnovers and scored 111 points off of them in preseason. That's an average of 21.5 opponent turnovers a game and 27.8 points off the turnovers in each game. Their averages last season in these categories were 15.1 turnovers per game and 18.5 points off the turnovers. That was 7th in the NBA and 10th in the other categories. So look, the jump up is from 15 turnovers a game to 26 turnovers a game on average right now in preseason, what we're doing right now. And the points added to our total from that is fantastic. Almost up to 30 points from 19 points. So, I know this is preseason. In some ways, these stats will change in the regular season with the better competition and everything. But if we can keep these stats elevated above last year's averages, this would be fantastic for the Raptors and winning in some ways. So, yeah, the defense has been fantastic. The offense at times has been bad for the Raptors. This is true. This is very, very true. Very true. All right, let's keep going. The chat. Nako saying Rodin looks real strong. He's a very strong guy. And it's too bad. In some ways, I wish we had more room for him to fit him somewhere, but we don't. And I don't think it's going to happen, man. Cass saying, hey, Lex, wasn't that Mo Peterson game winner against the Wizards when they threw the ball up in the air thinking they won already back in the day? Yes. That's a very famous game. And the Raptors at Men released that game, a half hour of it this summer. They've been doing that. They take epic games from our history, and they released footage of that. So you can go to Raptors' official YouTube channel, and you can find it on there and go watch parts of it and see that whole section where that happened. The shot Morris made was absolutely insane. Like, it wasn't a half-court shot. It was almost a three-quarter shot. It's crazy how far back he was and how he just lofted it. And yeah, they thought they had won. They threw the ball away. I don't even remember exactly how it happened. I think that the ball was just loose and it was up in the air, and they were pretty sure they're going to win. And Morris just lofted it right at the last second, a Hail Mary, and it went through, which was crazy. It was one of the craziest shots in Raptors history. Yeah, most saying seeing RJ lift Darko, you love that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Neil saying give some Canadian love to Will Riley and Keyshawn George. Yeah, good job, Will Riley, getting up there, hitting some very important free throws. Alas, you did not get the game winner. And George, well, he's good all around player, but he has to tighten up his shooting. And like I said, when you show up for Canada, man, you got to be more professional and come through in the end. I know you're young and you're still figuring it out, and you do have a future. And it was cool to hear the Wizards announcers say that George very much wants to play for the senior men's national team of Canada. Yeah. In some ways, it'll be interesting to see him come through on that level more and more in the future. You can see the parallels to George to Barnes. There's a few players in this league that are kind of like Scotty, and Keyshawn George is one of them. Let's see. Blackhawks saying that he hopes Keyshawn is back on Team Canada again. I think he was one of the better players at AmeriCup, and that his path to get to the next level with Coach Gordon and Bear's team is probably very good. Probably very good. Dak Canadian's here. Good to see Dak Canadian, another longtime Raptor freak, returning now that the season's starting back up. People might underestimate how much even adding just one different person to starting lineup can be. We have to remember Scotty is kind of our main floor general. Yeah, Quickly's our point guard, but still. Yeah, there's been and this is what we sensed from the first preseason game with Brandon showing up finally, that, there are questions about the fit with everybody, but I think that they're going to be fine. It's just that there may be some wrinkles that have to be ironed out. And right away, Brandon looked really smooth and nice. He really, like, he was working really well with Barrett so far. But we haven't really seen the connections between Ingram and Scott yet. And this is something that'll get worked out and figured out. These guys are going to be good together. Trust me. It's just in some ways, this is something that's the new fish in the pond is Brandon. And Brandon's disrupting things a little bit with the piece of the pie that he's going to be doing and taking. And Scotty's got to adjust to the new feel of the team. And Dak Canadian's exactly right. This is going to be something that'll work out. And in some ways, Brandon not playing yesterday and Scotty getting a game out there to play the way he does, that was helpful because it's going to give him a chance to get some confidence and good things going again. And then Brandon come back and play against Boston on Wednesday with Scotty, and let's see the synergy work then. But yeah, in some ways, we haven't seen those two guys play together much yet. And we got to confirm that they work well together, is what I'm saying. I know they will, because honestly, Scotty can play with anybody. It's just getting used to playing with them and allowing for the room for Brandon to be welcomed and do what he needs to do is an adjustment. And that's what that Canadian is talking about right here. It's an adjustment. Blackhawks saying, I only one ball. Scotty's fine. We have 82 games, and then there will be plenty of games for Scotty to go off like Rambo. Well, I'm going to say this. Like, look, there's only one ball, and that's why I always thought really talented scoring teams that have a lot of scores are not a good team, because there's there's going to be people that aren't going to be happy, or you may have too many guys that the only thing they do well is score, and they don't have any other part of their game. And if they're not scoring, they're useless to you. So think about this, Raptors fans. Scotty can do whatever on the court and be helpful to us, and he doesn't even need to score. That's very useful. That's very, very useful. Scoring in some ways is the easiest thing to do in the NBA. But to be a selfless, all-around player that gets steals and blocks like Scotty does, to average over 5 points and over 5 rebounds with the points that he gets, that is special. And those kind of players you want on your team, because they're going to add and make other people better without even needing the ball or scoring themselves. That's why I say, Raptors fans, don't get crazy overanalyzing Scott and saying he's this and this when you are missing the whole point, that this is a glue guy that does so much for us in intangibles and ways that aren't scoring that absolutely help us win. And if you have those kind of guys, you're more likely to win championships than like 7 guys that all just score. You need role players. You need glue guys. You need guys who care about defense first on your team to get there. Is what I'm saying, man. Most saying good eye, Kaz, and Morris Peterson's game winner. Yeah, he's just bringing up a game winner from the history, and this is a Washington game winner. for sure. Wayne saying this. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Wayne. Good to see you. Our season is going to be dependent on the execution of Coach Darko's plans. Coach Darko can put us in winning situations, and thankfully, our talent pool understands this. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I like this. In some ways, they were very dangerous with this game. The Wizards should have won this game, honestly, but we showed something. And this is really good for confidence. If it was like that, young Jacoby and Grady and Scotty and Jonathan and all them are like, yeah, we're the Raptors. We're like this. We're going to snatch games at the end. We have confidence that we can do this. In some ways, this is the lesson we're learning from these two preseason games is that the Raptors in a last second situation, well, we're 2-0 in the last two games on these. And that is a confidence builder. In some ways that, these games don't matter. In some ways, these games could have been won totally different ways by dominating, by playing your best lineup instead of playing your worst lineup at the end. Sure. There's all kinds of other different ways, but this is a nice buoy up for us to feel good about ourselves that we can win buzzer beaters, last second shots. That's really good for morale. This is really good for our guys going into the season because this kind of confidence on these kind of situations from the end of the bench executing it will go very far in the regular season, in the regular season games. And that's what I love about it. Danny the Electrician's back. Good to see you, Click. Couldn't catch the game because of Thanksgiving lunch with the family, but glad we won. Yeah, I am too. I'd say this. Every time you lose the Wizards is a very bad thing, no matter what it is, whether it's in the playoffs and that time with Lowry and DeRozan. Well, there's just any time. If you lose the Wizards, that's bad. You should never let that happen. Should never let that happen. And it doesn't matter which way. Yeah, Monique's saying refs were picking on Jamal Shed. Shed made a mistake in the game, and it was his fault. He made a mistake in the game. And what it was there was a call on he was attempting to steal the ball, and he got called for a foul. And he got upset and he ran down the court and kind of went like energy, like towards the bench. Now, when he made that move, he hit the ball also, and he kicked it out of the way of them getting it easy. Now, we saw what happened to Nicholas Claxton last year in a game against us with the Nets when he got frustrated with the referees and he threw the ball into the crowd and he got technical. Well, it's a similar thing to that. You can't do this in the NBA. They think about TV time. They're thinking about commercials. They're thinking about every second of the broadcast. And in some ways, when Jamal did that, he didn't even know he did it, though. It's just that his energy brought the ball with him across the line, and it went rolling off away from everybody. And Ray Acosta's like, fuck this. You're going to make us walk to go get this, Jamal, just because you got upset about our call? No, technical. That's the right call. Because in some ways, Jamal Shed caused a delay of game. And that's really why he got the technical. It wasn't because he expressed himself. It wasn't because he got upset about the call. It's because he made the ball go away from them and they had to work to go get it. And nobody was near it. And he slowed down the game. Now, whether he intended to make the ball go over there, he didn't. I know he didn't. But he did make the ball go over there because he walked and the momentum of the ball went rolling with him to the other side of the court. Technical. Delay a game. That's what that was. And you could say it's picking on him, but that's the right call in that moment. The ball needs to be kept nearby. That's why they say if the other team scores and they hit the ball when they're running up, that's a delay of game because they want you to be able to get the ball quick and inbounds it. And teams could game that against you. You're like, I'm gonna hit the ball after we score and hit it over there, and we can run all the way down court and get defensively set up. That's why they call that. So even if Shed didn't mean to kick the ball to the other side of the court, he did, and that's a technical, and that's the right call by Ray Acosta. I'm a Raptors homer, but I'm also an expert on on referees and the calls and the playbook and what is the rules. And Jamal Shed was wrong for that. That wasn't picking on him. That was him. He may not have meant to do it, but he did do what he wasn't supposed to do, and that's slow down the game by having a tantrum. Kaz saying, same, Danny. Good to see you, everybody. That's right. It's good to see you. Nameless is here. So we got the plumber and the electrician today on a Thanksgiving Monday. Hi, Danny. I'm Nameless. I'm the plumber. We getting paid, son. You know what? I'd like this to happen. I don't know where Click lives. I don't know what city in Canada he lives in. But maybe Click and Nameless need to hook up and they can give work to each other. Seriously. I know that contractors do this. I know that like plumbers I know an electrician. I could come and get you. Maybe we need a Raptor Freak federation of tradesmen, and y'all are looking for jobs for each other. It's like, oh, I got a guy. I'll call Nameless. He's a plumber. He can come and fix this. Oh, thank you, Danny the electrician. I'm telling you, let's make a coalition here. You guys are bonded, and maybe there's a way that you guys can help each other get work as young apprentice going into your own professional careers in your fields. Who knows? Getting paid. There you go. Look at that. There's the cash money there. See more paper. There's the cash money right there. All right, Milbester's here. Uh-oh. Fiercely saying this. I went to Washington 2 summers ago, visited the African American Museum and other attractions. Finding parking, whether paid or not, was horrible. The streets besides the arena are also very sketchy. Yeah, don't put that narrative out there. No, Washington's cleaned itself up a lot. The crime in Washington was way worse before, but it's absolutely at one of its lowest. And that's why it's so tone deaf and weird, the decisions to deploy the National Guard there. In some ways, the crime in Washington, D.C. has gone down. The perception that Washington is not safe is absolute horse crap. In some ways, don't put that out there. Don't put that out there. Either way, I hope that museum you visited is still open. It's probably not right now because the government shut down. And also, Trump's trying to close down anything about this kind of stuff. Any kind of museums that have anything to do with Black history, he's coming for it. He's trying to close that shit. And that's because he's a racist. He's a white supremacist. And that's why this administration needs to be stopped, because they're going to do a lot of unspoken crimes to minorities behind the scenes in all kinds of ways. They're already doing it with ICE to Hispanic people. So this is what we need to be vigilant about. And this is why we need to fight this shit, because they're going to keep coming for people. And the list is going to change. And in some ways, there's already a trend of law enforcement mistreating African-American people in their country in worse ways again. And George Floyd didn't matter because now MAGA and ICE are doing what they're doing. So be very vigilant. And if you're a person of color that lives in the United States, please be careful now more than ever, because things are fucking changing in the ugly way, in the wrong way. I've seen some footage recently of some recent arrests in Jacksonville that were horrendous and absolutely unlawful, and civil rights were not taken into account. Let's just say that. So yeah, let's keep these things in perspective here. Danny is saying this at Nameless. That's cool. I just started my apprenticeship at the beginning of September. It's been pretty good. That's right. You guys get it done and you get your own businesses. That's right. Monique saying W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Thank you, Monique. And Milbester, you just showed up after the cutoff. Respect Monique's cutoff, because I am 8 minutes close to being at 2 hours. So yeah, I'm not doing no Columbus Day. I won't talk about that. I don't want to talk about the Blue Jays game right now because I didn't watch it. So I'm not going to talk about Milbester. I'm sorry, man. You always show up at the end. Yeah, I got to get out of here, Milbester, because I have stuff I have to do today. So I can't do all these comments. I'm sorry, especially because it's baseball, and I don't want to talk about baseball today. The Blue Jays lost. We talked about it for a second. That's that. Thank you, Isaac, for putting me on blast. Milbester, respect, though. All right, Raptors Reddit reactions real quick. If anybody wants their fantasy team looked at really fast, it hasn't had their done, you tell me right now. If you don't, I'm not doing one today. Let's just this. Yeah, we've already done that one. Yeah, there's RJ picking up Darko after the game. That's awesome. I love seeing that picture. That's fantastic. Dinosaurs, SAR on SAR action. That's funny, Raptors Reddit. Straight goods on Canadian goods, guys. Today I'm talking about, what am I talking about today? Where is my item? What did I decide on here? I decided I would do, what the hell? I thought, oh, cookies. That's right. I'm doing the cookies. New Moon Kitchen is in the West End of Toronto. They're a Canadian-owned all-natural bakery based in Toronto since 1997. Their facility is completely free of dairy, eggs, nuts, and peanuts, ensuring school-safe treats. So New Moon Kitchen, local cookie company in the West End of Toronto. If you see New Moon cookies, well, buy them. That's a straight-up Canadian good, and get some cookies for your kids. And they're usually going to be with good ingredients, which is fantastic. All right, let me see where else am I on my chat. I did all the box score stuff. I did my stars of the game. Like I said, if anybody wants their fantasy team, they need to say it now because I'm running out of time. Happy birthday to Yuta Watanabe. He is 31 today. And also, happy birthday to former Raptor Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal is 47 today. So happy 47th birthday. Jermaine O'Neal, of course, played for the Raptors for 1 year for 41 games, and he averaged 13 and a half games, 13 and a half points. So happy birthday to one-time Raptor Jermaine O'Neal, more known as the Pacer, and also the Mouse in the Palace, of course. Yeah, Jermaine O'Neal, respect to you, man. I know that Mouse in the Palace really screwed up your career, and that's too bad, man. That's too bad. That's sad. All right, let's see. We'll do the classic card. And we'll try and get done in the next 5 minutes, and boom, we'll be out of here. And I can go do the thing I have to go do. All right, here we go. This is the classic card. Oh, wow. This is interesting. This is somebody we talk about on the channel from time to time. This isn't that hard, so somebody should get it pretty easy here. Yeah, sorry, Milbester. I talked about the baseball game already. I don't feel like going over it again. I didn't watch it, so I can't really talk about it with an expertise of any sort. So I know that they lost, and I think Smooth said that they left some runs on the field. Charles Barkley is right. PJ Tucker, Fiercey? No, that is Charles Barkley. That is straight up Charles Barkley. It's a newer card of Charles Barkley, which is pretty cool, honestly. But yeah, this is the guy I think Colin looks like, y'all, or plays like. You see his body shape. In some ways, if he just had some hair on his head, he could be Colin Murray Boyles. I'm telling you right now. You guys go watch some Charles Barkley stuff, and you'll get it. Yeah, Charles Barkley is the answer, and Kaz has got it today. Kaz has got the classic card, and that's not normal. So Kaz has not gotten a whole lot of classic cards over time, and it's nice to see him get one today. That's right. Let's see. It's not a hard card, though. It's too easy. He's a Hall of Famer. 50 points for Charles Barkley classic card identification. Mel Bester's saying they got to win today to go back to Seattle 1-1. They can't go back down 2-0. I'm sure they'll split today. I hope so. I'm with you on that. Yeah, they do need to win today. Where's my Blue Jays hat? I think it's in the house. I'm going to have to get that ready and wear it out. Yeah, so that I'm supporting for today. All right, Milbester. Sorry I skipped your comments today. It's just, yeah, I agree with you. They got to get the game today. If they go back to Seattle down, they're not going to be in good shape. So this is a must-win today for the Blue Jays and the ALCS. And hopefully they can get the job done. Who's pitching today? Milbester, you can put that in real quick. Who's pitching for the Blue Jays and who's pitching for Mariners? I don't know. And the Mariners are hungry. We're hungry too, man. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching today. Let's go Raptors. Tomorrow I'll be doing trivia. So is he a Savage? Okay, good. Yeah, against Gilbert. Okay, good. Thank you, Milbester. Tomorrow, trivia. Because we have another day off. So there will be Tuesday trivia tomorrow. So come with your trivia hats on. And then on Wednesday, we'll preview the second preseason game against the Boston Celtics in Boston on Wednesday morning. So that's the schedule coming up. We got a trivia game tomorrow. So come play some trivia with Lex at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning on a Tuesday. That's right. Happy Thanksgiving. Be grateful for life and health. That's right. That's right, Fiercey. I agree with that. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Let's go Blue Jays. We got to win today. Don't mess around. You got to win today, and give the Canadian Thanksgiving a nice, grateful, thankful thing to happen. That you guys keep going and keep kicking some ass. So go on, Vladdy Jr. Let's go, you Savage. That's right, Trey, you Savage. All right, guys, have a great day. Happy Thanksgiving, and remember what that holiday is all about. It's about giving gratitude and being thankful for the things in your life. That's right, and in some ways, it's also a holiday that says, you know what? To have the things that you're grateful and thankful for, you need to fight for them. That's what I'll say also on this day. You need to fight to keep those things that you're grateful for in your life that you love, because somebody's coming to take them from you, and they do not need to be taken from you, because that is not right and that is not just. And we need to fight. We need to resist, y'all. I'm telling you right now. All right, y'all. Peace out. 10-4, good buddy. All right. There's Scotty online. There you go. Let's go Raptors. Let's go Blue Jays. Let's go Tempo. Let's go Canada.